Hi, my name is Makina, which means happy, and I'm from Tanzania. Please like and subscribe to the channel. Since I was a baby, I lived with a family of my uncle, my father's brother, together with my cousin, Kadia, a thin girl 7 years older than me. In our small African village, I was famous for my perfect face features and bright green eyes that were shining brighter than emeralds with the traditional dark skin of the local people, and because of this, Kadia terribly disliked me. Uncle made no distinction between me and his own daughter, but my aunt didn't like me from the beginning, and all because, unlike Kadia, I didn't know how to lie. Once my aunt's school friend came to visit us, a spectacular woman who had a successful career in the city. This was very rare for someone from our surroundings, and my aunt was very jealous of her. "How wonderful, you must be expecting twins," the guest said enthusiastically to my aunt, who got impressively rounded lately. "Yes, we're so happy. I didn't think that such happiness was even possible at my age," the aunt said shyly. "My mom will finally give me a normal sister, or rather 2 at once," Kadia agreed in a sweet voice. And then she added angrily, nodding in my direction, "Better than this one. Auntie, you just eat a lot of cakes and drink sweet soda. That's why you have such a big belly," I blurted out with childlike innocence, unable to bear this fake scene. Oh, my aunt's rage knew no bounds. As a punishment, she took my telescope and star maps, with which I spent all my free time in the attic, and locked my treasures away. My grief knew no bounds. When I went to bed all upset, my uncle came into the room. He returned my riches to me, hid them from my aunt under the bed, and said, "Makina, I'm proud of your truthfulness. A person who always remains true to themselves can become anyone." "Even a stargazer?" I asked excitedly. "Even a stargazer if you want. It's no coincidence that your name means happy," he replied. When I went to the 3rd grade, I did a number on my aunt once again. I'll tell you everything in order. Uncle gave her money to take Kadia and me to the circus. Aunt decided to save money on tickets and deceive the cashier, get a discount for children and teenagers, and spend the rest of the money on herself. Makina, remember, you're not 10 years old, but 5. And you, Kadia, are not 17, but 14. Auntie gave us clear instructions before leaving the house. I was so outraged by this plan that when we approached the cashier, I shouted, "Don't trust my aunt, she's a liar. I'm already 10, and Kadia will become of age next year." Such a shame in a public place was very painful for my aunt, and since then, she was out to get me. And the chance for revenge turned up very soon. Uncle's friend, who made a fortune exporting bananas, decided to arrange a village celebration with fireworks and a huge cake for his housewarming party. And he invited our family. It was my first public appearance, and like any girl, I wanted to look stunning. My aunt lent me her makeup, in which I saw no malicious intent, and a suddenly kind Kadia volunteered to do my makeup. What a horror I felt when after 2 hours of my sister's efforts, I saw myself in the mirror. A painted scarecrow was staring at me. A minute later, my uncle came in and sternly asked us all to get into the car as soon as possible. Otherwise, we would be late. So I had to go like that. Entering the house, I covered the distance from the entrance to the bathroom in several jumps. Judging by the chuckles and smirks, everyone who managed to see my makeup and hair thought I had escaped from the circus or a madhouse 5 minutes ago. But before I even untangled my hair, the bathroom door opened and I saw a disgusting, pimply teenager about my age. "What a scarecrow! Have you been hired to entertain the guest?" the ugly guy asked. "Close the door," I answered rudely, and to my surprise, the guy obeyed. When I went out, he greeted me, apologized for his joke, and said that I was very pretty, and that he knows me. He heard in the village about my rare, bright green eyes. His name was Bakari, and he was the owner's son, and the sole heir to the banana business. My new acquaintance, although pimply, turned out to be not as disgusting as I first thought. He invited me to the terrace, where the hosts were going to cut the ribbon with all the honors. When we joined everyone, my aunt clasped her hands and loudly, drawing the attention of the guests to me and Bakari, said, "Look at this wonderful couple. When the time comes, they will make a perfect match for each other." Looking at Bakari's pimples and my aunt's sly face made me feel nauseous, and my potential husband didn't bat an eyelash, took me by the arm, and hospitably offered to cut the ribbons together. At that moment, I wanted to fall through the ground, but there was no way to escape. After that day, my aunt seemed to have lost her mind and forced my uncle to transfer me to the school where the Banana Prince studied, despite the fact that we couldn't afford it. This period was probably the most difficult test of my whole childhood. At the new school, I found myself an outcast among the offspring of the richest families in the area. Why is everyone so stupid, I thought. I had to leave my best friends for these arrogant kids who won't even look at me. I once tried to find a common language with Bakari, but he ignored me. Then I straight up asked the Banana Prince what was the matter. You were a guest at my house and I couldn't behave differently in front of my parents. And here you're a stranger. You're just disturbing everyone with your strange green eyes. I have my friends and there's no point in pretending that I like you, he said honestly and very coldly. So this difficult academic year, which I spent in a white crow status, flew by. I even kinda got used to my loneliness and calmed down, but one incident threw me off balance. I learned about Khadia's engagement. She had just recently turned 18. I walked in on a noisy party at home where the bride and groom were honored. I called my cousin aside and asked, "How is this possible, Khadia? You don't know your fiancé at all. You're seeing him for the second time in your life and you're only 18. Is getting married what you want?" "Makina, you're young and stupid. My fiancé has a certain status and wealth. He'll provide me with everything I need for a comfortable life until the end of my days. And I'm not bad looking, and I know how to cook well. Why would I not be a match for him? Baby, don't forget that this is our cultural tradition. The same thing is waiting for you after graduation. I know that your uncle and aunt have already made agreements with the parents of Bakari, the rich heir to the banana business. You and this guy studied together, and believe me, it's no coincidence." Everything inside of me boiled up. I thought, how is that possible? I'm a living person and I have plans for my life. We live in the 21st century, not the 15th. But then I remembered that I was only 11 years old and had 7 years before coming of age. So I took a deep breath and calmed down. Moreover, the pimply Bakari doesn't even want to talk to me. It's unlikely that he'll ever marry me. So there will definitely be no marriage with the Banana Prince. One day, as I was returning home from school and saw Khadia's fiancé talking to her best friend, I just wanted to say hello to them. And then I saw my sister's future husband passionately kissing the bridesmaid. I was in such shock that I don't even remember how I ran home. My legs just took me. And then I told my aunt and cousin about what I saw. "Big fat lies," Khadia hissed angrily at me. "You're just jealous and want to destroy my happiness." My aunt was of the same opinion and said that I was making up fairy tales. By an effort of will, I ordered myself to be silent, but couldn't restrain myself when my sister was exchanging rings with a deceiver at the altar. This union's a big mistake. These people shouldn't be together. The bride is getting married out of stupidity and into money, and the groom kisses other women, I shouted. I was sure that I was saving my sister. Meanwhile, the failed husband threw the ring away and silently ran out of the church. And Khadia sobbed so much that her mascara ran down and her wedding dress got dirty. "You will pay for this," she shouted, turning to me and stamping her foot hysterically. 7 years have passed since then. Khadia never did get married. She grew fat, and by local standards began to be considered an old maid. In a few months, I was finishing school and was anticipating a new free life. One time I found an unexpected guest at home, and it was Bakari with his parents. The Banana Prince, with whom we didn't communicate at all at school, straightened up and matured in 7 years, and even got rid of his nasty pimples. His dad and mom were asking my aunt if I was good at cleaning up and mending socks, and if I could cook the traditional corn porridge that my whole future family loved so much. I flew into the living room like a bullet and declared that I was not going to go to their house as a dishwasher, a seamstress, or a cook, that they just need to hire maintenance staff and pay them, and there's no need to get married for that, and that there is no marriage in my near-term plans. I'm leaving for the city. I was approved for a scholarship, and I'll study at the university to become an astronomer, to fulfill my childhood dream and be closer to the stars. And after this loud speech, I left the room and slammed the door. The next day at school, Bakari approached me for the first time in a long time and said that he had a great respect for me. "I did not expect, Makina, that you were so brave. I believe that with such a character, you'll definitely fulfill your dreams," he said. But on the same day, perhaps one of the most horrible disappointments of my life awaited me. I learned that Khadia wrote a rejection of the scholarship on my behalf and withdrew my documents from the university. "I promised you revenge. You ruined my life and I've ruined yours. Now we're even," my sister whispered angrily at my sobs. I took my uncle's advice and decided to stay strong and try my luck again. I sent an application to another university and plunged into the last months of my studies in order to get the highest grades possible. And so the school year ended, and despite my aunt and sister's displeasure, my uncle invited us all to a restaurant in honor of me to celebrate the end of school. And at the restaurant, we met Kadia's ex-fiancé. He was sitting at the table with his wife and 2 kids, and at the sight of him, my sister turned green and wanted to leave. But her failed husband went straight to us and greeted us. Kadia, I have long waited to ask for your forgiveness, and Makina, thank you from the bottom of my heart. If I had then married your sister, I would have made both her and myself unhappy. Your honesty saved us from a big mistake. Auntie and sister were shocked, and on the evening of the same day, Kadia came up to me, hugged me for the first time in my life, and said, Makina, I admire you and your honest act. I was so stupid and didn't believe you and brutally ruined your plans. Forgive me, dear sister, if you can, she said, almost crying. Everything will be okay, I replied and hugged her back. And that was exactly what happened. Literally the next day I was informed that my new application was approved. The news that I will be studying to become an astronomer and getting a scholarship made me fly up in the air. My move to the city happened very quickly, and the dream to which I had been going since childhood was finally going to come true. One day on my way to class, I met the Banana Prince. It turns out that Bakari entered the same university and wanted to become a lawyer. My classmate had a big smile on his face and was immensely glad about us meeting. Makina, I knew you were in the city and made a wish to see you. I'm sorry that I was able to see your personality only in the last months of school, and I really want to get to know you better and ask you out on a date. And not because my parents once wanted it, but because it's my sincere desire. I hope you'll agree, he asked uncertainly. I'll be waiting for you in the park at 5 o'clock tomorrow, I said, and winked playfully, anticipating the beginning of a beautiful romantic story.